What's going on YouTube? This is Will, and in this video I'll be discussing whether the Amex Platinum card with its new benefits and its $700 annual fee is worth keeping long term. I'll be going over the benefits and giving you guys my thoughts on how I would use them in my own personal valuation. Now, I'm not here to tell you what the card is actually worth. This video is just to show you guys my thought process as to how I would value this card, and hopefully it will help you in your own decision making as to whether it's a card you want to keep long term or not. Now, before we jump into it, be sure to smash that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, be sure to do so for more videos on travel and credit cards. Now, we're going to be using an online calculator put together by a little known YouTuber named Ask Sebi. So maybe you've heard of him, but this saves me a bunch of time having to put my own spreadsheet together for you guys. And your boy has been absolutely swamped with this 9-to-5 job. So thanks, Sebi. In this first section of the calculator, we have the sign-up bonus. Now, this is kind of a no-brainer as a reason to get the card. The sign-up bonus is 100,000 points and it's definitely worth it. That's about $1,500 in value if you value those points at 1.5 cents per point. And if you aren't familiar with how points are valued, I'll throw a slide up on the screen for a few seconds. So pause and read through to get an understanding of how we value these credit card points. Now, we'll talk more about the point valuation in a second, but we really only care about keeping the card long term. So the first year, again, is a no-brainer, but for year 2 and onward, that's the point in this video to see whether or not it's actually worth keeping. Now, in this next section here, we have the actual amount of points that we earn with our spend. So with the Platinum cards, you get 5x back on flights booked directly with the airlines, and then you get 5x points booked with the prepaid hotels on the amextravel.com website, and then you get 1x on all other purchases. Now, for me personally, I find it hard to estimate how much I plan to spend in cash because the whole point of the travel cards is to not use cash, right? So I'm trying to use points and miles as much as possible. So getting an accurate estimate as to how much I'm really going to spend in cash every year is kind of difficult, but for the sake of this, type of valuation, I might put one domestic flight on there. So we'll say $400 max for just a basic economy seat from Atlanta to LA, which is as far as I'll probably go. So $400 for that. For the prepaid hotels booked on amextravel.com, we'll come back to this because this benefit is actually tied to a couple of other benefits that we're going to go over in a lot more detail. And then for all other purchases, we'll just keep that at 0 because I really don't plan on putting any additional spend on this card. So that's also going to be 0. And prepaid hotels for now is also 0. Now, this next section here is going over how we value the points when we redeem them. So the highest redemption rate here is going to be using the travel partners for 2 cents per point. Now, this is of course just an estimate. Your mileage may vary here. 2 cents per point is okay. I think it might be a little bit aggressive. And when I do my own personal calculations, I like to be a little bit more conservative here. So I wish Sebi would add like maybe a line here that where you can maybe enter in your own point valuation, or at least add like 1.5 cents per point, because 2 cents per point could be a little aggressive. 1.1 cents per point is probably a little bit too conservative, but 1.5 is where I would really kind of aim at with Amex membership reward points. But for the sake of this, it doesn't really matter too much because I'm not really spending that much money on this card anyway. Right now, we only have $400 worth of spend, so really not too big of a deal. So as you can see, the value of the $400 worth of spend that I put on this card for the flights booked directly with the airlines at 5 points per dollar is only worth $40 when you take into account that 2 cents per point. But this could definitely be maybe the deciding factor as to whether I keep the card, but I highly doubt it. The next section here is the credit. So with the first one being the $200 airline incidental fee credit, which you get every calendar year. So say if I were to apply for this card right now, I'll have access to that $200 credit between now and December, and then January it actually resets, so I can actually use that credit again and get it twice in my first year, just paying that one annual fee. So just something to keep in mind there. But for this one, it doesn't actually cover your airline ticket. All it covers is stuff such as if you want to pay for your checked bags, if you want to buy any food or drinks on the plane, if you had to pay for any change or cancellation fees or something like that. That's the type of stuff that it covers, but it doesn't actually cover your actual airline ticket. But there are some indirect ways where you can use the credit to buy your ticket for a couple of these airlines. And I have a completely separate video going into detail about that. It'll be too much to go over in this video, and I'll link that video up here if you want to check it out. Now, in terms of how much I actually value this, I will probably give it the full $200 based on my past use of the credit on the Platinum, as well as the $100 credit that you get on the Gold card. And I do use it to buy airline tickets. So again, definitely check out that video if you want to learn how to do that. So next we have the Saks Fifth Avenue credit. So this is $100 every year, but it's actually split up. So you get $50 between January and June, and then you get $50 between July and December. So I pretty much just let my wife use this credit where she buys some skincare products. She says that the price is the same as everywhere else that she goes, so it really works out for her. I personally can never find anything to buy for myself on Saks, but if my wife can find something, then I can give this thing the full $100 credit. So next is the Uber credit of $200 per year. You get $15 per month and then $35 in December. Now, we rarely ever take Uber, and we only use Uber Eats because they give us this $200 credit. Otherwise, we wouldn't use it. Now, there are good enough restaurants on there where we feel we aren't wasting our money by buying food we normally wouldn't. So there are some good restaurants we usually eat at that are on there, and we use the pickup option because those service fees and those delivery fees can get pretty expensive. So pretty much to sum it up, if I were to give this a value, I'll go ahead and give it the full $200 because again, it is a credit that I use at my typical restaurants in my area. Next is the global entry or the TSA pre-check credit. Now you might as well just go ahead and get global entry because it includes TSA pre-check. So no point even wasting time with that. And I feel like you still got to go through the same type of interview. So it's really no big deal just getting global entry. Now, these programs do last for 4 years, so you only get the credit once every 4 years. Now, for me personally, I don't value this for the Platinum card because I already have global entry, so I would never use this credit probably for the next 2 or 3 years or so. So this would just be kind of wasted on me. So for this, we're going to go ahead and give it a 0. Now we're getting into the benefits they added with the increased annual fee. And the first one is going to be the $200 hotel credit. Now I'm going to spend a little more time on this benefit. I thought about doing a whole separate video on this one actually, because I feel like a lot of people are really hanging their hat on this one new benefit as to whether or not they're going to keep the card long term. But for this video, I'll try to sum it up as much as possible so the video doesn't get too long. But the way that it works is when you book a hotel using Amex's Fine Hotel and Resorts program or their hotel collection program, you get $200 in credits. So it doesn't just work for any hotel booking. It has to be booked through one of these programs. Now, this is very limiting because the hotels in these two programs are usually fairly expensive. We're talking about the Four Seasons, the Ritzes, the Waldorfs, Mandarin Orientals. So pretty pricey hotels. And I actually pulled together a spreadsheet. Like I said, I was going to do a separate video on this, but I did do a spreadsheet looking at maybe 8 different cities across different countries. And I feel like the average price that I was seeing for a hotel on the weekend was about $600 per night. So it's definitely not cheap. Now you can find some cheap hotels in one of these programs for sure, depending on, where you're going to be traveling to, what time of the week is definitely a huge factor as well. But these hotels are definitely going to be much pricier than what you would typically see at a, say, just basic Marriott or something like that. So that $200 credit really isn't much a lot of the time, but it can make a one-night stay manageable, right? Especially when you consider the benefits of using these programs. So with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program, you get guaranteed late checkout, you get a breakfast for 2 and an experience credit worth at least $100. Now this is usually a property credit of $100 or the food and beverage credit of at least $100 or something along those lines. With the hotel collection, you get a $100 property credit if you're staying 2 nights or more. So you can definitely get more value with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program, but I would say most of the hotels in that program are going to be a little bit more expensive than what you will see in the hotel collection, but the hotel collection is also pretty expensive as well. Now, my wife and I have been looking for a way to use this credit because her annual fee just hit a couple of weeks ago. So we only have a couple more weeks before we have to, call and cancel her card and get a full refund, but we can still use that $200 credit if we can book something, fast enough. But right now, it's not looking too good. We're trying to just do like a little weekend getaway or something like that, somewhere close to Atlanta, maybe something driving distance. But all the hotels that we're really looking at or really interested in are like $500-$600 per night. So, if we're just going to do one night in the hotel and just save $200, then have to pay another $600 or $700 later on for the second night, that's probably not going to be too good for us, right? So it's definitely a pretty tricky benefit to use. Now, my friends and I are actually going to Vegas in September or October, so I've been looking there as well. My wife isn't going to go on this trip, but we found that the Bellagio, which is a fine hotels and resorts program property, is only $385 per night, and I think that's about $1,300 total for the 3 nights that we're going to stay, including all the taxes and fees. So here's a screenshot showing how much it would cost us for the 3 nights that we want to stay. It's about $1,335. But then when you take into consideration all the benefits that you get with the Platinum card, so the $200 hotel credit, of course, you get a $100 food and beverage credit for the property. You get that free breakfast for 2. So we're going to be doing like 3 days. So I estimate it'll probably be worth maybe $125. And then you also get 5x membership reward points when you use your Platinum card to actually book it. So if I value those points at 2 cents per point, that's about $135 worth of value that I'll get later on when I use those points for a trip. So you can see the real, net value or the net cost for this hotel will be about $800, which is definitely not too bad. And I am going to be looking to travel kind of earlier in the week and not on the weekend. So like Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday or something like that, just because that's when the hotels in Vegas are usually the cheapest. Now, when my friends and I usually go to Vegas, we like to stay at the Planet Hollywood, and that's just because of the location. It's usually pretty affordable, and it's a pretty decent, casino that we like to go to. So I did look at the Planet Hollywood for that same time frame, and I am a Caesars Diamond status member, so I do get some discounts booking directly with Caesars, and the total price for that same time frame was about $640, so about $160 cheaper than the Bellagio's net cost, right? But when I factor in, if I were to say use my Chase Sapphire Reserve points or my Chase Sapphire Reserve card, I will get about $40 worth of UR points back. But then I do have to factor in the cost of breakfast because Bellagio does include that. So we'll include that, $100, and you can see that it's a $700, net cost for that entire trip if we were to go to Planet Hollywood. So about $100 cheaper than booking the Bellagio. So I'm not sure if the Bellagio is worth that $100 premium or not. I'm probably thinking no. We haven't decided on which hotel we're going to stay at. But the lesson here is, one, it can be hard to know how you're going to use this credit just due to its limitations. 2, take into consideration all the benefits of the fine hotel and resort program. And then 3, be sure to compare with other hotels in the area. And finally, when you look at these prices on the Amex travel portal, just be sure that they are the cheapest value that you can get, because some other online travel agencies may have that same hotel like Expedia for a cheaper price. All right, so that's the $200 credit. I value it right now pretty much at 0, just because I don't think I can see myself using it. And going back up to that spend section here over that 5x back on the prepaid hotels, we'll also keep that at 0. So next is his $240 digital entertainment credit, which is $20 per month, and it works for the New York Times, Peacock TV, Sirius XM, and Audible. Now I do have Sirius and New York Times, which cost me about $10 per month. I probably would use Peacock for maybe like a month just for the Olympics if I needed it. So that's maybe $10 in value. And then Audible I do use, but I only subscribe for just a couple of months per year to get a free audiobook credit. So that's $15 per month. So we'll say $45 for that. So altogether, it's about $175 worth of value there for me. And I think I may go over that monthly limit of $20 if I were to use all these credits at once. So let's go ahead and discount that just a little bit, and we'll just say $160. Next, we have the $300 Equinox credit, which is $25 per month. Now, this credit is absolutely useless to me because there is not a Equinox in Atlanta. And even if there was one, I wouldn't actually sign up for it because I'm quite happy with my little cheap $35 LA Fitness All Club membership. The final credit we have here is the $179 clear credit. So this is pretty much just cutting the TSA pre-check line. Now, this is something that I did end up getting just because I did have this credit, but do I value cutting the line at $179? No, not really. I mean, if I were to pay for something like that, I would maybe pay $10, $15 per year. It's just because, for one, I don't travel that often. And usually when I do, I'm rarely in that big of a rush to want to cut the line. It's just never been that big of an issue for me personally. So the next section here is going to be going over the other benefits, and I would actually call these the main benefits when it comes to this Centurion card, because everything else before this were just offsetting credits to help kind of bring down that cost. But these are the benefits that actually give you value. So the first one is going to be that Centurion Lounge, which I think is the biggest reason that people get this card. Now, I don't have a Centurion Lounge here in Atlanta, and it's really hard to say if I would ever go to an airport with one and actually use it. When it comes to estimating the value of these lounge access benefits, it's hard for people who just travel a few times a year for vacation, because you probably don't know if you'll actually go to a lounge. Your flight may be at a time where it's closed, you may have a short layover, or the airport may not even have a lounge for you to go to. Now, if you're someone that travels often for business, it's probably easier for you to actually estimate how much time you're going to be spending in a lounge. For me, I assume I'll get to the lounge maybe a couple of times per year, since Priority Pass has a lot more options than Centurion Lounge, and this card does have Priority Pass as well. I can maybe value this benefit at say $50. I could take advantage of some snacks, maybe alcohol, though I'm not a huge alcohol drinker anymore, coffee, comfortable seating, and free Wi-Fi. The next benefit we have here is going to be that Priority Pass, which I kind of just talked about. So I kind of grouped all the lounge access together. Again, for my entire lounge experience, it'd probably be about $50 worth of actual value here. And then next we have fine hotels and resorts, which we kind of talked about already. You get that late checkout of 4 p.m. You get breakfast for 2. You get that $100 experience credit, and you might get a room upgrade as well if there's availability. But since I probably won't be using this benefit with the $200 credit, I'm going to have to value this at 0 as well. The next benefit here is going to be the Centurion Suites, which is just kind of lounges in various places outside of the airport. So this is kind of niche. I'm not sure why Sebi included this as a line item here, but if this is something that you can use, go for it. But for me personally, it's going to be a 0. And then we have the hotel status. So you get Marriott Gold and Hilton Gold status. I'll say $20 just for the Marriott Gold, which gives me a late checkout, and I might use that once this year. So $20 seems like a pretty good price for me. And then I already have Hilton Diamond, so I don't really need this Hilton Gold status. So $20 for this hotel status benefit. And then we have other benefits and cell phone protection, which are pretty much 0 for me. The only other benefit that I can maybe think of that comes with the Platinum card is the Shop Runner benefit, which is pretty much like having Amazon Prime 2-day delivery for multiple online retailers like Saks Fifth Avenue for one. So that is, I think, $60 per year normally if you just wanted to sign up for it by itself. So you do get that free with the Platinum card, and the Gold card has it as well. So, that's probably maybe a $10 value for us, again, because we don't necessarily order too much from these websites, but we do, I would say, order enough to value it at maybe $10. So looking at the final value in year 2, including all the points, credits, benefits, and the annual fee, I'm coming out on top about $120, which isn't really that great. That's like a 15% return on the annual fee that I pay, which isn't too exciting for a credit card, especially for $700 upfront to just get $120, somewhere down the line. It's just really not too exciting for me. And most of the benefits I get are from the credits, so I'm not really getting a lot of value holding the card. It's just kind of, as people have been saying, a coupon card. So I'm essentially paying in advance for a lot of stuff that I normally get, and then they slowly reimburse me. That other benefit section, like I said earlier, is pretty much where you get the real value with this card. So that lounge access, the hotel programs, the hotel status, and stuff like that. That's the reason that you'll probably want to get this card and keep it long term. So if you get a lot of value out of those, you should come out, way on top than say what I was. But, these are, again, the main benefits. But if you can't take advantage of them, well, there's probably really no point keeping the card. So my annual fee on this card does hit in December, and the annual fee will still be $550 because anyone who renews their card in the year of 2021 keeps that $550, then it'll go up to that $695 next year. So we'll see how much I value it at the end of the year, see how much of these benefits I actually use. But again, right now it's not looking too good. It looks like I'll probably be canceling it. But let me know down in the comments how much you value this car, guys. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.